Welcome, Carlos. It's so good to see your face as always. I'm really curious. I have known you for a very long time and along your inner work journey. And I want to ask you today specifically about NLP. And I guess we'll dive in and start with why NLP? Why did you feel the call to go there?
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me and having this conversation. It's a pleasure always to see your face and have a chat with you.
Mm-hmm.
NLP, well, to start with, who really knows where the calling comes from, right? It just comes from within. But really, at a conscious level for me, the reason why I chose to do NLP is because after the work that I've done, or I had done before doing NLP, I realized that first, this is a world that I'm passionate about. I'm baffled by all this stuff and all the knowledge that we have around how our mind works. And it's not taught at school. It's not taught, my parents never taught me any of these. And some of these things are so basic for everyday life that could make everyone's lives much, much better. So I decided to do NLP because I felt I needed to learn more about how our brain works. I also wanted to learn more about the techniques some of them that I had already not learned, but I wanted to know a little bit more about how they worked in the background. I also felt it was a really good opportunity for me to develop some of my leadership skills and, communication. And it's been great. I just had a chat with someone for an interview yesterday, and she was saying, "Oh my God, you could basically do my work." Like, she was a recruiter, and I was like, "Well, I was just talking about meta programs and how you can find how people are motivated to do certain things." And she was like, "Oh my God, that sounds so cool." Yeah. So it's a really powerful and really useful skill to have in the corporate world at so many levels. And also the speaking. Finally, uh, being a speaker and standing up in front of people and teach them some of the things that I've learned, and also to be seen as a leader when you stand up there and you connect with your audience and create that engagement from people of what you're talking about.
Love it. Love it. So when you were in the training, I'm really curious because you've done practitioner, master practitioner, and also trainer's training. Thinking back, I want you to go through the bits that you loved and then maybe the bits that you didn't love so much at the time.
Okay. I'm still fascinated by language, the use of language, and now, when you learn the Milton Model, how it works, how all of the things that people assume to be true when they're talking to you, and now I just listen to that stuff all day long. It's amazing, and it tells you so many things from everyone. Even from yourself, if you're paying attention to what you're saying, it tells you a lot about what's underneath, not just for you, but for other people. And it makes it easier to understand them, understand yourself, and find common ground, find purpose and meaning to what they're saying, and the reasons for the behavior that they have and for the behavior that you have. So for me, language is huge. And hierarchy of ideas as well. I think it's very powerful, and it's not given enough. And I remember as I was studying or preparing for my test for practitioners, I remember watching this video from this guy who he wasn't really a hypnotist, but he was. So the video was of this person who would approach someone in the street, a random person, and he would use language to communicate, to connect, to create rapport instantly. And then he would ask for the phone of this person, and the person would give the phone to him. And then he would ask for the keys and the wallet, and he would keep them, and he would keep asking for directions. And just with the language, a little bit of pattern interrupt, and the words that he was saying. And he was like, "Okay, well, thank you very much. I'm going this way, right? Okay, thank you." And he would just walk away with cell phone, keys, wallet, and then 3, 5, 10 seconds later, that person would go like, hold on, what just happened? And then would go back to get the stuff back. But when you think about it, it's so, so powerful. So it just fascinates me how deep this goes, and the power that it has when you actually apply it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that still blows my mind today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the things that I didn't like. I'm not sure I disliked anything at the time.
Anything that was challenging?
Well, there's definitely been a lot of challenging things. Definitely facing yourself, I think, to a really good exchange is challenging, because as you learn about how the brain is wired, you understand how yours is wired, right? And the emotions that come up, the beliefs that come up. I do quantum linguistics often. So I learned that for myself when I'm struggling to make a decision is because I'm not listening to my intuition, right? So now when I'm struggling to make a decision, now instead of going, well, what's that other pros and cons, or what best option, I go like, okay, so why is it that it's just so hard to make this decision, right? What is the belief that is blinding me or making so much noise that I cannot listen to myself? And so I started doing quantum linguistics. What would happen if I did? What wouldn't happen if I didn't? And then all these things come out, and you go like, wow, really? Was that really in there? Also, trainers definitely had a big challenge. I think for everyone, it's different when you step on the stage, because it challenges you in many ways. For me, it certainly was. I think there's probably still things that I need to work on right now that I've noticed in the last few weeks around being the authority when you step on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the fear and insecurities, like all of those things come out for sure.
Yeah, what I love about trainers is it gives you this extraordinary blueprint for sharing stories, for having a stage presence, for using tone and gesture and language. And it just packages it all up. But you're right, it feels like a rite of passage in many ways. I remember mine, and you have nowhere to hide because you feel, well, no, I can't say you, I felt that my peers were judging me. All right. Now, truth be told, everyone is just so concerned with what they're going to do when they get up there and present that no one has any space to comment on anyone else's. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's so interesting coming at it as a trainer is what you see is extraordinary courage in just overcoming those stories. Because when you're in trainers training, you don't get the opportunity. Oh, you could. Of course, you could go, oh, yeah, I'm not going to do it. But what tends to happen is that you acknowledge that that's just a story. The feeling is just a feeling. And you get up and you stretch yourself and grow in ways that you didn't know were possible.
I think it has to do a lot with, you tell your own stories and the success that you've had with them, and you add value to those stories, because ultimately that's part of what you're selling, right? And so when you tell those stories, you're acknowledging yourself and you're giving value to those stories, and things that perhaps in the past you didn't see that they were good enough. Now they have a lot more value.
Yeah. And often things that we think were our darkest moments are the ones that, when we're looking for metaphors to create in order to share and give other people the opportunity to grow, they're the stories. They're the ones when we were in the pit of despair and then moved through it. They're the stories that are really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so cool. So how are you currently now using NLP out in the wilds?
The ways I'm using NLP now, the first one, as I said, is I'm listening to all the things that are all the assumptions that people make all the time. Like I hear all the stories, and it's hard not to anymore, which is a good thing, I think. You learn to see and understand people in a different way. You go like, okay, this is the story, and this is not about me. This is really about you, and that's really powerful. As I said as well, I use quantum linguistics when I have to make a decision now, which gives a whole new layer to understanding. You're not just solving the problem that you had in front of you, but you're also solving the the challenge that you have internally, so that when you have new decisions to make that are based on the same premise, you don't have to go through all second guessing and doubting and overthinking and all of that, which is really cool.
Mm.
What else do I do? Um, I used a lot of language, and I did this actually a few years back. I was presenting in a for a team. We were having some bottlenecks in our workflow, and the review process was actually very slow. And I did a little bit of research, and I came up with a proposal. And I created a presentation, and I was going to present to them. And before I presented, I had the whole PowerPoint ready. I thought, okay, so I know NLP. Let's work on this a little bit, right? And I went through the presentation, and I started changing a whole bunch of things and applying what I knew about language and a few other things. And the result was huge, because I changed things like, for example, in the title of each one of the slides. For example, instead of saying we could do this instead, I said I changed it to something like, let's try this, more direct, more action oriented. And I changed words like this all over the place. And it's hard actually to know how to measure how much impact these things have. But I can tell you that at the end of the presentation, like even the tech lead was like, yes, let's do this. Super enthused. So that was really, really good to hear. And it was, I think, like when I review it at the end, I could see that it was a lot more focused, a lot more action oriented, and it had all these subliminal, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's try it. And then at the end, what I did was that I added an anchor to it. So you might have seen these images that say, these phrases that say, keep calm and XYZ,
Yeah.
right?
What is it?
So I
Yeah.
created an image with something like keep calm and review, or something like that, as an icon, as an image, to as a part of the summary of what the proposal was about.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that in the documentation, in the videos, in the communication channels that we had all over the place, to say, just keep calm and keep reviewing. Remember what I taught you. And I think that became a really powerful presentation. And hierarchy of ideas as well. I use it when I want to resolve a problem. Not really being in a situation where I'm negotiating, but something that happens way too often is that I'm with a manager, and I'm trying to sell an idea, and they go like, well, we cannot do it because X, Y, and Z. And I go, well, and what's the purpose of that? And what's the purpose of that? And what else could we do to make this happen, right? Just to try to open the possibilities. And it's been good as a practice. I haven't really achieved much, to be honest. I think I still need to work a little bit on it. And more of it in a proposal, on the proposal side. But I've also found that there's a lot of fear in the corporate world to take certain decisions when you want to do something different, that it's out of the company culture or the direction that has been set, and you're trying to say, okay, we can do better. Why don't we try this? And there's a lot of fear from people to trying to get into that. So, and that actually has helped me to uncover a lot of fear, because I start asking, well, and what's the purpose of that? And what's the purpose of that? And often it's like, well, if we do that, then we'll have all of these problems. And then I go, well, it sounds to me like we're basing our decisions on fear, and fear has never helped anyone. We can probably do something more proactive. And then how can we do this? And I remember I did this for a while, and it worked really well, where, okay, if we're having this problem, how can we achieve a better quality while at the same time maintaining or avoiding this problem? or being. I think it was about safety and making sure that we're safe when we're delivering to the public, things like that. And that definitely starts opening the idea to other people for sure.
And that's what I love with hierarchy of ideas, because what it does, exactly what you're saying, it busts the boundaries around a problem. Because when you ask, what's the purpose? What's the purpose? Like, you're moving up into more abstract ideas. And then when you find a purpose, you can go, well, what's another way we can achieve that?
Absolutely.
And then sort of you've thought that's like a lateral thing. And then you can chunk down by how specifically can we do that? And suddenly you're miles away from the problem and you're actually getting into a solution. And
Absolutely.
it's just the power of questions, you know, and that's what I love as well about NLP is that, and again, like the questions, the quantum linguistics, right? So it's like, what would happen if I did? What would happen if I didn't? What wouldn't happen if I did? And what wouldn't happen if I didn't? And it's like, what? And yet, as you said, all right, you get out all of the noise and you actually end up with some clarity.
Yes.
Yeah, just asking questions.
I remember even in that presentation I was just talking about, I remember actually adding some hypnotic language there to suggest that we should try the proposal. And yeah, it's really powerful. What else? I do matrix therapies often, mostly with myself these days, but with clients too. I've done some work with changing one from first perspective to second perspective, third perspective. So sometimes I go like, okay, so I'm sabotaging myself, and I put myself as if I was asking that myself as a third person. Okay, so what's going on here, right? That's actually really powerful as well. So yeah, a few things here and there. And lately, I've been also working on telling stories. Especially, I started working in this training for people who want to go to interviews. And one of the things I was preparing to was, we all get asked this question about, tell me about yourself. Like, and that's pretty much the same question, the first question that everybody gets asked. And you have that opportunity to tell a story about yourself that allows you to connect to your interviewers, to make you feel human, make you feel connected, make you feel or make them feel that you are being true and honest and direct to what they're saying, and to come up with a good success story to say, yes, I've gone through the hero's journey and I'm here for you, which gets you in a better position to negotiate. Also, when you're asked about, oh, tell me about a particular situation where X, Y, and Z happened. Again, you also have the opportunity, and those are the perfect opportunities to tell a story. Because if you just go like, well, I'm I'm easygoing, or I'm good with managing people, or it's too abstract. When you're talking about hierarchy of ideas, you have to go a little bit more specific. So you chunk down a little bit, you tell a story that helps you connect, people understand where you're coming through, they relate, and it actually makes you look like the hero, right? So yeah, pretty powerful.
Yeah, I love it. Anything else? Any last sort of thoughts, insights, observations?
I've done some work with values, but that's with myself, really. Oh no, I did that with Lisa as well a little bit. So yeah, uh, working a little bit with values, especially understanding when you're um, like I used to. I think I'm not doing that anymore, or not the way I used to, where I used to put work before family and before self and before other things. So definitely my hierarchy of values was a little bit off. And I said, no, hold on. I go first, because if I'm not okay, I cannot support my family. I cannot do work well at work. So let's change that as well. Yeah. I think those are the ones that I can remember right now. I'm pretty sure I've heard a few other things. I've been in presentations or meetings, and I start looking at translating. it's really amazing. Sometimes someone takes a glass of water, and then you see who actually is following you or who's following who, and it's really interesting trying to connect and create rapport that way with people, especially when you're online.
Especially when you're
It's a bit of a challenge, but it's really interesting because you can see everybody's faces on the screen, and you can see, one people take a glass of water here, and then the other one, and then the other one, then the other one, then the other one. Yeah, pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you, my friend, as always. So lovely to connect.
My pleasure.
And we will catch up in real life soon.
We have to.
Yeah. Ciao.
Bye-bye.